children. A good marriage partner matters more than rushing into marriage at the right age. The seventh parameter is social and cultural context. Marriage age is not just an individual choice. It is shaped by family expectations, religion, ethnicity, community norms, local economy, and gender roles. In some communities, marrying in the early 20s is normal and supported. In other communities, marrying before 30 is considered early. In some religious communities, marriage is strongly encouraged before sexual activity or cohabitation. In some professional urban communities, marriage is often delayed until careers are established. Neither pattern is automatically superior. A young marriage can work well when the couple has support, shared values, economic help, and a strong commitment framework. A later marriage can work well when the couple brings maturity, self-knowledge, and stability. Problems arise when the timing is driven by fear, pressure, shame, desperation, or poor partner selection. This is important for women because social pressure can come from both directions. A woman may be pressured to marry young so she is not seen as left behind, or she may be pressured to delay marriage so she can prove independence. Both pressures can be harmful if they ignore her actual readiness and desires. The right question is not, what does society expect from her? The right question is, what kind of life is she trying to build, and what kind of marriage would support that life? The eighth parameter is the dating market and partner selection. Some argue that women should marry younger because the dating market becomes harder with age. There is some social reality behind this, but it is often exaggerated or weaponized. As people age, the dating pool changes. Many people marry off. Some people have children from prior relationships. Some carry more emotional baggage. Some become more selective. Some become less flexible. For women who strongly desire marriage and children, waiting indefinitely can create challenges. But the solution is not panic. Panic leads to bad choices. A woman should not marry young simply because she fears being unwanted later. Fear is a poor foundation for marriage. However, it is also unwise to ignore time completely. If a woman wants marriage, she should date intentionally. That means choosing environments where marriage-minded men are present, being clear about values, avoiding long undefined relationships, and not giving years to someone who does not want the same future. This is one of the strongest arguments for intentional dating in the mid to late 20s. A woman does not have to rush, but she should not drift. Drifting is one of the biggest risks in modern relationships. People spend years in situationships, unstable cohabitation, or relationships with no shared plan. Then they wake up in their mid-30s feeling betrayed by time. The issue was not just age, it was lack of intentionality. The ninth parameter is cohabitation, sexual history, and relationship experience.
This part of the debate can become moralized quickly, but we can discuss it carefully. Relationship experience can help a woman learn what she wants. But repeated unstable relationships can also create emotional fatigue, distrust, comparison, and difficulty bonding. Cohabitation before marriage can function differently, depending on whether it is intentional and connected to a clear marriage plan, or whether it is casual and undefined. The key issue is not simply whether a woman has dated before or lived with someone before. The key issue is whether her relationship history has helped her grow in wisdom, or left her wounded, cynical, and less able to trust. The optimal age for marriage is affected by emotional readiness, not just chronological age. A 26-year-old woman who has healed, reflected, and learned from past relationships may be more ready than a 34-year-old woman who keeps repeating the same patterns. A woman who has clear boundaries, understands commitment, and knows how to communicate is better prepared for marriage than a woman who is simply older. The 10th parameter is children and family goals. The optimal age for marriage depends heavily on whether a woman wants children, how many she wants, and how she imagines family life. If she wants no children, fertility timing matters less. If she wants one child, the timeline is more flexible. If she wants 3 or 4 biological children, the timeline matters more. A woman who wants a large family may want to marry earlier, not necessarily as a teenager or very early adult, but perhaps in the mid to late 20s. That gives time for a few years of marriage before children, then time for spacing children. A woman who wants one child may be comfortable marrying in her early 30s. A woman who is unsure should be honest with herself and not assume she has unlimited time to decide. This is not about fear, it is about planning. Men also have age-related reproductive issues, and men should not be treated as timeless either. But women's reproductive timeline is more biologically constrained,
so it becomes a more central part of the marriage age conversation for women. The 11th parameter is marital quality, not just marital status. A major mistake in this debate is assuming that being married is automatically better than being unmarried. A healthy marriage can be one of the most stabilizing and beneficial relationships in a person's life. But a bad marriage can damage mental health, finances, family relationships, physical safety, and children's well-being. So the optimal age to marry is never more important than the quality of the person you marry. A woman should be less concerned with marrying by 25, 28, 30, or 35 than with whether she is marrying someone honest, emotionally stable, responsible, faithful, respectful, financially disciplined, and capable of partnership. A bad marriage at the right age is still a bad marriage. A good marriage at a later age may be far better than a rushed marriage at an earlier age. This is why character must be part of the conversation. Age is measurable. Character is harder to measure. But character may matter more. The 12th parameter is readiness for sacrifice. Marriage requires sacrifice from both people. A woman who is not ready to consider another person's needs may struggle in marriage. A man who is not ready to sacrifice will also struggle. The modern debate often emphasizes personal freedom, and personal freedom matters. But marriage is not only about personal fulfillment, it is about building a shared life. A woman may be ready for marriage when she can say, "I know who I am. I know what I value. I know what kind of man I respect. I know what kind of home I want to build, and I am ready to give as well as receive." That readiness may come at 24 for one woman and 34 for another. But generally, the late 20s give many women enough adulthood experience to make that decision more wisely. The 13th parameter is religion and moral worldview. For many women, marriage timing is shaped by religious beliefs. Some faith traditions encourage earlier marriage because they value sexual restraint, family formation, and covenant commitment. In such contexts, marrying in the early or mid-20s may work better because the community provides structure and support. Couples may receive guidance, premarital counseling, family involvement, and shared moral expectations. But even in religious communities, early marriage should not mean careless marriage. Faith does not eliminate the need for maturity, compatibility, financial planning, and emotional health. A woman should not marry an irresponsible man simply because the community pressures her to marry. A man should not marry a woman he cannot support emotionally or practically simply because marriage is expected. Religion can strengthen marriage when it promotes commitment, accountability, humility, forgiveness, and community support. It can harm marriage when it pressures women into unsafe or unequal relationships without giving them protection or voice. The 14th parameter is race, class, and inequality. In the United States, the optimal age for marriage cannot be separated from social inequality. Different groups face different marriage markets, economic pressures, incarceration patterns among men, educational pathways, family expectations, and community norms. A college-educated woman in a stable professional network may face a different marriage market from a woman in a low-income community where stable employment is harder to find. A woman from a family with wealth may marry earlier and still be economically secure.
A woman without family support may need more time to establish independence. Race matters because structural inequality affects the availability of economically stable partners, the timing of education, household formation, and perceptions of marriageability. Class matters because financial instability can delay marriage or make marriage harder to sustain. Geography matters because housing costs, job markets, religious culture, and family support differ across regions. So we should be careful about giving one universal answer to all women. A woman's best marriage age is influenced by the opportunities and constraints around her. The 15th parameter is personal agency. A woman should not be reduced to her fertility, her age, her career, or her marriage status. The goal is not to scare women into marrying early or shame women who marry later. The goal is to help women make informed decisions. There are women who marry at 22 and build beautiful marriages. There are women who marry at 32 and build beautiful marriages. There are women who marry at 42 and find deep companionship. There are women who never marry and still live meaningful lives. Statistics can guide decisions, but they cannot replace wisdom. The danger in online debates is that people turn averages into insults. They say, women expire after 30, or only immature women marry young, or career women cannot be good wives, or traditional women lack ambition. All of those are shallow statements. Real life is more complex.
A woman's age matters, but it is only one variable. Her values matter, her health matters, her partner matters, her family goals matter. Her emotional maturity matters, her finances matter, her faith matters, her community matters, her ability to choose well matters. So, what is the most balanced answer? If a woman is under 20, marriage is usually risky because she is still developing emotionally, educationally, and economically. There may be exceptions, but as a general rule, teenage marriage carries too many risks. From 20 to 24, marriage can work, especially with strong family support, shared values, maturity, and economic stability. But this is still a period of major identity development. Many women are still in school, early in career formation, or learning what they want from life. Marriage in this range should be entered carefully, not impulsively. From 25 to 29, many of the key pieces begin to align. A woman may have more maturity, more education, more work experience, and better judgment, while still having strong fertility prospects if she wants children. This is one of the strongest general windows for marriage, especially for women who want a family and are dating intentionally. From 30 to 34, many women have even greater clarity, independence, and economic stability. This can be an excellent time to marry, especially if the woman has chosen wisely and still has realistic family planning goals. Fertility is beginning to become more time-sensitive, but many women have healthy pregnancies in this range. For women who want children, this is a period where intentionality becomes especially important. From 35 to 39, marriage can still be very successful, but the family planning timeline becomes more compressed for women who want biological children. Emotional maturity and economic stability may be strong, but fertility may require more planning, medical awareness, and urgency. This is not a reason for panic, but it is a reason for honesty. At 40 and above, marriage may be less about starting a traditional young family and more about companionship, blended families, second marriages, emotional partnership, or later life family formation. Biological childbirth is still possible for some women, but it is more difficult and medically complex. For women who do not want children, or who are open to stepchildren, adoption, donor eggs, or no children, marriage after 40 can still be deeply meaningful. So, if we had to summarize the evidence into one statement, it would be this. The optimal age for a woman to get married is not a single number. But for many women, the strongest overall window is roughly 25 to 34, with the late 20s to early 30s often offering the best balance between maturity, fertility, economic readiness, and marital stability. If the focus is fertility and having several biological children, the better window may lean toward the mid to late 20s. If the focus is education, career establishment, and emotional maturity, the better window may lean toward the late 20s or early 30s. If the focus is divorce reduction, avoiding teenage and very early marriage is especially important, and waiting until at least the mid-20s generally appears beneficial. If the focus is personal fulfillment, then the right age depends on readiness and partner quality. The final point is this. Marriage should not be treated as a race against the clock, but it should also not be treated as if time does not matter. Time matters biologically. Time matters economically. Time matters socially. Time matters emotionally. But wisdom matters more than time. The best age for a woman to marry is the age at which she is mature enough to choose well, prepared enough to build responsibly, young enough to pursue her family goals if she wants children, and wise enough to understand that marriage is not just about finding love, it is about building a life. So instead of asking only, how old is she, we should ask deeper questions. Is she emotionally mature? Does she know herself? Does she understand what marriage requires? Has she chosen a man of character? Are their values aligned? Are they financially realistic? Do they handle conflict well? Do they want the same kind of family? Are they marrying from love and wisdom, not fear or pressure? When those questions are answered well, age becomes less of a weapon and more of a planning tool. And that is the most responsible way to approach the debate.